Good afternoon, this is Occupier Kaylin. I am back. I am outside of the Capitol on the West Steps. This is a Compassionate Cannabis rally. So in a couple of minutes, there will be some speakers, and they will say why the medical marijuana law needs to be expanded and completed, and people will advocate for why it needs to be available. And some people may even tell their stories of how using marijuana as a medicine has helped them. The local media is here. All three of the main local TV stations are here. Most of the people are standing on the steps. Some are standing on either side of me. They're not behind the podium. More people are still arriving. Some came out of the Capitol building. They're there for other reasons. They maybe got lunch or did something else before coming out here. Some people have gone to stand behind me, so let's get started. It's on.
And that's why Dan doesn't want to do it.
position to my right. More cameras have been set up, so there's 5 other tripods besides mine. So there's going to be some media coverage of this little event.
I'd like to welcome everybody here this afternoon, and we really do appreciate you coming out and supporting our efforts on this medical cannabis bill that we know would help literally hundreds of thousands of Iowans based on Representative County's original bill. You know, to start out, we have to say that we're very thankful for the support in 2014. You know, this is a whole new concept that came up in 2014, and in February people said this is never going to happen, and by the end of the session we had a bill that at least allowed Iowans who had family members with epilepsy to legally possess this medicine if you could get it here. It had 38 votes in the Iowa Senate, it had 77 votes in the Iowa House, and the governor signed the bill into law. So there is a huge recognition, bipartisan support to say this really is medicine, and an acknowledgement that Iowans need this. You're going to hear from a number of speakers today who will each share a couple minutes on an issue related to the cannabis program that's important to them. But the themes that you're going to hear is this medicine works. And in fact, some families, this has been a miracle medicine when nothing else has helped their loved one. We have now in the United States 23 states that have a medical marijuana program. I believe 80% of United States citizens have legal access to this medicine. Our point is the zip code you live in shouldn't govern what medicine you're entitled to receive. Doctors are now rallying around this to acknowledge that this is a medicine that they want to be able to provide access to for their patients. There, as you'll see from legislators here today, there is bipartisan support for this program this year. A recent poll showed that 4 out of 5 Iowans support a medical cannabis program. What other issue is our legislature dealing with that 80% of Iowans all want to happen? And recently, 95 business leaders here in Central Iowa all supported our efforts to have a medical cannabis program here in Iowa. Now, before I turn it over to the speakers, just to let you know where Representative County's bill is right now, it is in the Ways and Means Committee. And we are waiting for both Speaker Upmeyer and Chairman Tom Sands to allow this bill to be assigned so that it can get out of Ways and Means Committee so it can come to the full House for a robust debate and an adoption, then to be sent over to the Senate. So again, thank you for coming, and with that I'll turn it over to my wife Sally.
Hello, my name is Sally Gare. On behalf of Iowans for Medical Cannabis, we thank you all for coming to make your voices heard. Iowans for Medical Cannabis is a grassroots organization committed to helping Iowans advocate for a responsible, medical cannabis program in Iowa. This legislation cannot wait any longer. Iowans suffering from severe medical conditions are out of options. They cannot wait 20 years for the FDA or a new president or enough science to silence the critics. They need relief, and 23 other states agree. Voters are behind this legislation. 78% of Iowa voters support a medical cannabis program. It is morally incumbent upon every Iowan to make this treatment option available in a safe and legal manner to stop the suffering. 85% of Americans already have access. It's Iowa's turn.
Hello, my name is Erin Miller, and my son Abram is 269 days seizure-free today thanks to cannabis. Thank you. He takes a whole plant cannabis oil that is lab tested and organically grown in Iowa. He suffers from a rare gene mutation called UBE2A that changed the way his brain developed and is the cause of his intractable epilepsy. Our story is unique because our neurologist is the one who told us to try cannabis. Unfortunately, we didn't learn about the effects of FDA-approved drugs until after that. Our son was put on clonazepam, a benzodiazepine, when he was just 2 years old. It was prescribed to my son off-label and was never tested or approved for anyone under the age of 18. The FDA's trial even states the effects of this drug on a child's development may not be apparent for many years to come and can even cause a decrease in his intellectual ability. This drug stole my son. It stole his skills, it stole his words, and it stole his sweet smile. Soon after we began the drug, he had more frequent and worsening seizures that turned him into a raging monster. My sweet boy was suddenly self-harming and self-mutilating so badly that he split his forehead open while banging his head on his crib. Unfortunately, our neurologist refused to sign our recommendation for cannabidiol card because the hospital that he worked for is against it. My family was devastated to learn that despite the fact that they suggested we try cannabis, they are unable to help us gain our legality. Due to this hypocrisy, it took over 7 months and 2 out-of-state hospital stays to obtain a cannabidiol card for my son because of a serious law in the 2014 bill that requires an Iowa neurologist. I know several families right here, right now, who are worried that they're going to suffer legal repercussions because their child's neurologist doesn't happen to have an Iowa zip code. What about the family who's going to find out tomorrow that their child has epilepsy? Shouldn't their child get the same opportunity that mine has without suffering the gauntlet of toxic medications and the irreversible damage that they cause to a young child and a developing brain? Today, my son is walking, running, laughing, and is making new sounds. He's giving kisses, sleeps better, and he is finally able to be a little boy. Today, Abram is 269 days seizure-free. He was illegally healed for 163 of them. Abram is living proof that cannabis is medicine. My son is a patient, and I am not a criminal. I am just a mom following doctor's orders.
Thank you, Erin. Very difficult to follow. But my name is Peter County. I'm a state representative from West Des Moines. I'm a proud supporter of this bill and this law to be legalized. I think about all the things that we do in this building behind us, whether we fund our schools, fund our courts, provide an environment for jobs. There's one common factor. We're trying to make Iowa a better place. We're trying to help Iowans. And this bill can help Iowans who need it most. What Steve Gear said earlier about the fact that Margaret's taken 23 drugs. None of them worked. This has worked. When I heard from Steve and Sally what it did for Margaret, first time she slept through the night in 25 years. First time she uttered a sentence. As a father of two, it made my heart melt. That's what every legislator needs to hear. When they press their little green button, they are helping their constituents who need it most. Nothing else has worked for them. I will always be there for you to try and get this done. We'll never give up, and we will succeed. Thank you very much for being here. This is exactly what we need to hear and see today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Bokum. I'm a member of the Iowa Senate, and I live in Iowa City. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to especially thank Representative County. He is the first Republican in the history of the state legislature to actually introduce a bill and take the heat for introducing a bill on this important topic. We worked really hard last year in the Iowa Senate to pass a comprehensive medical cannabis bill, and many of the people standing behind me are some of the leading advocates who made that possible, and they work tirelessly up there in that building when some days they go home shaking their heads about how and why this process works. But I think the question today is, how much longer are we going to have to wait? How much longer will House Republicans make Iowans needlessly suffer? That's the question today. And as I said, the Senate, in a bipartisan way, passed a comprehensive bill. The bill currently in the House needs a lot of work to provide the kind of relief and help to the many conditions that people suffer from needlessly here in our state. So I encourage you, as you go upstairs today, to pull people out and talk to them about your story. And if we adjourn this session without a bill, which I hope doesn't happen, we will need to elect legislators this fall who will listen and do the right thing on this issue. So thank you very much for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Charles Goldman, and I'm one of the 75% of physicians who believe that medical marijuana should be legal in all 50 states. And I think that that's a pretty important number. Physicians are notoriously conservative. They're conservative politically, they're conservative about social issues, and yet 75% of them believe that medical marijuana should be legal everywhere. Why they believe that? The answer is always the same, because they believe that it alleviates suffering. And let's be honest. Marijuana is no different than any other pharmaceutical that you take that the FDA approves, or the supplements you take that nobody approves. It's going to work for some people, it's not going to work for others. And the problem for marijuana has been that it's being held to a standard that pharmaceuticals don't have to meet. I'll give you an example. I'm a cancer surgeon. I've been doing surgical oncology, medical oncology for 25 years. I was treating patients back in the 90s in California, before medical marijuana in California, and they were using what was known as the Oakland, California Hash Buyers Club. It was pretty obvious that many of these patients were helped, because at the time, there was not really any good medication to stop nausea and vomiting from chemotherapy. In fact, there were studies out of the 80s that showed that cannabinoids were far more active than the agents we were using, and yet we couldn't use them. We couldn't even tell people that it was okay as far as we were concerned. So let's look at a pharmaceutical that is, for instance, for nausea and vomiting in chemotherapy patients. A drug that was just approved about 10 months ago. Its benefit is 15% versus other drug combinations. We know from the data that various forms of cannabinoids give better activity than that. In some series, up to 50 to 60%. So why aren't we using it? What do the opponents usually say? What they usually say is, well, it hasn't been tested. Why hasn't it been tested? It's a tautology, of course, because it's Schedule 1. Schedule 1 means, as far as the FDA is concerned, and also the Drug Enforcement Agency, it's a drug with no therapeutic uses, which is, of course, completely untrue. If it was rescheduled, we could do the research, and we could answer the question head-to-head with what we're using and help patients much more quickly. The other thing to think about is that one thing that's also true in Iowa is we don't have what's called a right to try law. People in the cancer realm would know that, as laws that 24 states, including every state around us with the exception of Nebraska, have, that allow patients to demand that they can try chemotherapy or other types of drugs for cancer after they've been tested only at phase 1. Phase 1 simply means that it's shown effectiveness. Actually, sorry, phase 1 simply means that the dose is safe. It doesn't even have to show effectiveness in phase 1. So again, it tells you something about the attitude in our state, which in many ways is socially forward-looking, but in this case is clearly looking backwards. And why are we doing that? Because of the stigma of marijuana. Why do we have the stigma of marijuana? It goes back to the 60s. It's about law and order. It showed you were tough if you were against marijuana. And of course, the other issue is it's considered a gateway drug. Well, the two gateway drugs that are important in our culture right now are not marijuana. Number one, they're the prescription opiates that we give as physicians that are creating a huge problem. And we know that, and we acknowledge it. And the other, of course, is the legal drug, which has no therapeutic value, and that's alcohol. So, I mean, I can tell you that, not just speaking for myself, but speaking for many, many physicians, we would welcome the opportunity to be able to add marijuana to our armamentarium to help patients. And in particular, in my field, we would very much like to be able to add marijuana as a drug both for nausea and vomiting and maybe even for therapeutics, because there is evidence that marijuana and its derivatives do in fact have some anti-tumor activity. So all I can ask is that as a physician representing other physicians, that we consider a sensible and comprehensive medical marijuana program in this state. I'm not looking for a marijuana program which is simply a front for a distribution program, which is what California has. I'm looking for a sensible and scientific marijuana program run by the people who know the most about it: pharmacologists, scientists, and physicians, and also patients. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Michelle to come now because we've got a couple of speakers who are still on their way.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Richardson from Norwalk. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2010. MS is an unpredictable, often disabling chronic disease of the central nervous system, which disrupts the flow of information within the brain as well as from the brain to the body and back and forth. It results in a variety of symptoms, which are often invisible, and they don't look the same in any two people. My symptoms can range from mild to severe, and from occasionally on any given day to every hour of the day and night. It's difficult for me to process information in my brain, to make decisions, prioritize information, and often in conversations I lose words, I don't know a word to say. I say the wrong word and makes no sense in the context, so I have issues that way. I easily am extremely fatigued to the point of falling down. I feel pins and needles and numbness in many areas of my body, including my face. I lose balance, my coordination. I have muscle spasms in my arms and legs and throughout different parts of my body. And I experience pain, which can be so debilitating at times that I can't speak or move. In 2014, doctors with the American Academy of Neurology reviewed current research and found certain forms of medical cannabis, if used in a pill or spray form, which allows doctors to control the dose, is an effective treatment for MS symptoms. The muscle stiffness, the certain types of pain and muscle spasms, and the overactive bladder. And the National MS Society supports the rights of people with MS to work with their healthcare providers to access medical cannabis for medical purposes where state regulations allow. Before I was diagnosed with MS, it never occurred to me that one day I would wake up sick and never get better. I have battle scars, but you can't see them. They are on my brain and spinal cord, and I feel the effects of them every day scattered throughout my body. I'm asking our legislators to take seriously what they can do to help those of us with MS and other serious chronic medical conditions to ease our pain and other symptoms which can be improved by medical cannabis. Show compassion and follow the example of the 23 other states in the District of Columbia which have passed medical cannabis laws. 76% of Iowa adults support the use of medical cannabis. Legislators, it is imperative that you follow the will of the people of the state of Iowa and pass this medical cannabis law that will allow Iowa's most medically complex patients to gain access to safe and effective medicine. Thank you.
I'm Craig Miller. I live in West Des Moines, Iowa. My beautiful wife is sick. My Debbie has a genetic disease called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Individuals with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome have genetic defect in their connective tissues. The tissue that provides support to many body parts such as the skin, muscles, and ligaments. The fragile skin and unstable joints found in patients with EDS are the result of faulty or reduced amounts of collagen. Collagen is basically the glue that holds your body together. She can dislocate her joints very easily, and her skin can damage or tear easily. This causes her more pain and fatigue than most people can imagine. There are days when she can barely make it out of bed. She will feel as if all of her energy has been sucked out of her body. She may wake up with a dislocated or subluxed rib, or she may feel as if her jaw is being ripped from her body. She wears braces on her fingers so they won't dislocate when she does something as simple as writing. Stairs have become more of an obstacle than just a way to get to the upper level of our home. Often she has to crawl up the stairs as it's just too difficult to ascend them the normal way. She lives in pain, not the kind of pain most people can understand. She has debilitating, intractable pain. The kind of pain that doesn't allow you to have a normal life. Our home has become a prison of sorts to her. The medication she takes for her pain don't work. She's been on opiates such as morphine, hydrocodone, oxycodone, methadone, and fentanyl, just to name a few. There are many bad side effects to these medications. A specialist we met with recently told us she was a victim of Big Pharma. Medical cannabis could possibly help my wife. We personally know other EDS patients in states with medical cannabis programs, that have had their lives completely changed for the better by medical cannabis. Diseases and disabilities like this don't just affect the patient. They affect their caregivers and the rest of their families. Watching a loved one go through something like this is stressful. Seeing your loved one suffer day in and day out is not something you can observe without being affected somewhat yourself. You see them cry or wince, not just from the pain, but from the depression and anxiety that go with having a chronic illness. As many as 500,000 Iowans could benefit from the use of medical cannabis. If you add just one caregiver to that, it reaches 1 million that could be affected. I ask the legislators of Iowa to please understand the overwhelming impact you could have for Iowans. 1/3 of our population could be positively affected by this legislation. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome was one of the conditions struck from the bill in the Commerce Committee. Not only did they do this, but they did this without even the courtesy of listening to the stories of the people they were elected to represent. My question to them is, what makes them think they can determine whether or not my wife's disability is any less deserving of this medicine than another disability? That responsibility lies with Deb's doctors and her as a patient alone. Their job is to pass legislation that their constituents feel will help ease the pain and suffering of sick and dying Iowans. That's their job. I've been involved with this fight for 3 years now. The past 2 years I've had my heart broken watching legislators get it wrong. Seeing the disappointment in my beautiful wife's face, session after session, not knowing when it'll be her turn to get some relief. This year has affected me somewhat differently, not just disappointment. I'm angry. We as patients and caregivers have given them more than enough education regarding medical cannabis. This isn't just about cannabidiol oil. There are many different strains of cannabis that can help many different diseases and disability. Charlotte's Web strain of cannabis doesn't fix anyone, it doesn't fix everyone. It isn't even the best solution for two of the conditions that's listed on these bills, terminal cancer and MS. We need a comprehensive medical cannabis program that is run by an advisory board of doctors and medical professionals. So today I asked the legislators of Iowa to reinstate Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and the other conditions not left in this bill, as well as reinstating the medical advisory panel so that future condition decisions are made by doctors and not legislators. Please do what is right for sick and suffering Iowans. And by the way, when you speak with those of us fighting for this, please remember you cannot empathize with us unless you or your loved one is sick or dying. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm John Forbes. I'm a pharmacist and a citizen legislator. I've served here at the Capitol for the past 4 years. I've been working on this issue for the past 3 years, working with Senator Bolcom and all my other fellow legislators. Before I get into my remarks, I would like to just recognize legislators that are here today. If you are here, would you please raise your hand? I want to thank you all for being here. I know it's very passionate, and it's a passionate issue here at the state capitol. We've heard, I've talked to dozens of patients that have been affected by different diseases and illnesses for the past 3 or 4 years. And it's time that we do something here in the state of Iowa for our most suffering people and get a bill passed that is good and it takes care of a lot of medical conditions that people currently suffer from. I've practiced pharmacy for over 35 years in Urbandale and have consulted with hundreds of patients over the years with many medical conditions, epilepsy being one. And I see what the effect of these medications can do on a person's total physical body. Many times doses that we have to give to treat seizures are almost doses that can almost kill a patient. Using this medication, medical cannabis, will help reduce the number of medications that many of these patients take and give them a better quality of life. I've also been researching the clinical trial study that's been going on at the University of Iowa with a medication called Epidiolex. And I know we've had people in the state of Iowa that have been enrolled in this clinical trial study, and it's showing very positive results. I've been told that probably sometime in the next 15 to 18 months, this medication will be available by prescription here in the state of Iowa and across the country. And that's really good news. But unfortunately, this medication is only 2 different medical conditions to treat, and that's 2 different forms of epilepsy. We need to pass legislation that allows for a broader use of medical cannabis here in the state and has THC. That's the component that helps activate the cannabis. It acts as a spark plug to help other people with other medical conditions such as PTSD. We have many veterans in our state that could much benefit from having access to this medication. So I will work hard in the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks before we adjourn to make sure we get a bill out and on the House floor for debate. Thank you.
My name is Bob Lewis. Most people call me Louie. So, this young lady helping me this morning is named Rachel. And Rachel, I've heard her story in the past, but today I met her for the first time. She moved her family to Colorado because they couldn't get treatment for her child here. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's not the way to do it. I've been at this a few months and I've met a lot of great people. I heard several months ago that there was a survey that was done a couple of years ago or a year ago that showed that 80% of Iowans are in favor of legislation for cannabis, medical cannabis. I didn't believe that number. I thought that number, it just can't be. It's just really high. So we did a study at Quester that showed that 76% of all Iowans across the board, 93 counties represented, are in favor of this law. If our representatives would vote 76% in favor of this, it's a slam dunk. Like somebody just said a little bit ago, do your job. I had some coverage on the news, and you know, it's an educational situation. We're constantly trying to educate people. I have had a lot of experience in the past couple of weeks, people that knew me, not such great friends, but just people that knew me, that thought that I smoked the stuff to get rid of my pain. I don't. You can't smoke a patch. Yeah, I suppose you could, but it's probably not going to be real good. And 76%, you know, that's kind of a call to freedom. I mean, we had a war for our independence, 1776, and so it's my war now to get this and to help get this thing passed, my battle. It's my freedom call from pain. So help me out. Well, thank you again for coming. Thank you for your support. We all know the time has come. No more excuses. Our legislators need to find a path forward for this program. As we've said, 80% of Iowans now want. Suffering Iowans deserve this medicine. They deserve to get it legally, and they deserve to get it in their own state where they live. So we would encourage you to go visit your legislators here in the Capitol. Those are the 150 people that we all need to influence to make sure that this happens this year. No one should have to wait another year. So thanks again. We appreciate your support. And okay. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. I can interrupt the mayor of Windsor or West Des Moines. Come on, Steve and Betty. I'm Diana Willits. I'm the mayor of Windsor Heights, and thank you. We love our city and we love our council. Bob Louis is from the city of Windsor Heights, and Bob called me about 6 or 7 months ago, and he said, Diana, he said, I just got back from a trip from Colorado. I tried a medicinal patch, and I've been pain-free for the first time in 42 years. He said, would you please get your police officers down to my office? He's a citizen of Windsor Heights. He has a business in Windsor Heights. And he said, please bring the police over. And he goes, I'm going to put a patch on, and I want to be arrested and taken down to the Capitol. And I said, Louis, I don't know if we have to do that. Let's see what we can do. So I'm here today standing with 2 council members from Windsor Heights, Steve Peterson and Betty Glover. With council direction about 2 weeks ago, I started sending out letters to all the mayors, all the county supervisors, and city council members throughout the state of Iowa. And today we have over 80 signatures all across the state asking for support, and more signatures come in daily. The biggest reason I'm here is to tell you that our council last night decided to get behind this and is the first city in the state of Iowa to pass a resolution in support of medicinal cannabis.
to please help our citizens. Our citizens need this drug. They've asked for this drug. This is what the citizens want. And our legislators represent the citizens of this state. So please, please pass this drug. And I have copies of the resolution. We are now going to send it out to every city in the state of Iowa, also asking for them to pass a resolution in support of this bill. So thank you, Mayor Gare, thank you, Louie, thank you, and all of our citizens, thank you.
That will conclude all the speeches.
Thank you all for coming. For the press who are interested in personal interviews with any of the speakers or any of the patients and families that are here, we're happy to help facilitate those. Otherwise, we invite you into the Capitol and have conversations with your state representative and your state senator. Thank you for coming today. Follow us on Facebook.
Now everybody is going up the steps. Sure. Hello.
I have seen you several times at CCI meetings.
Yeah.
And Jan 1.
I'm Kaylin.
Kaylin?
Yep.
Yeah, what are you doing here today?
Live streaming.
What do you do?
I have an app on my phone.
Uh-huh.
So what you see right there on my screen is being broadcast over my the cell network up to my Ustream channel page. So people who know where to find that, where my followers can see that I'm broadcasting live and watch it. And then when I get home, I put my videos up on my YouTube channel.
Oh, I see. Well, how interesting. What is your website called?
I don't have an actual website, just my personal Facebook page.
Oh,
So Kaylin Lee Strain is my Facebook page. Just Kaylin Strain is my YouTube channel.
Okay, interesting. I'll look for that.
But I'll post my pictures up on Facebook later.
Uh-huh. Do you have some interest in this topic?
I have met people who have used it in one form or another.
Uh-huh.
And of course I follow the stuff on the news about it, and I figure it's my duty as an independent, media type person to cover it and to get it and get it out there. So, the mainstream media will often spin it if they choose to cover it at all. I mean, you saw the other cameras here besides me, but sometimes I hit events that get no coverage whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got into doing this as part of Occupy Des Moines.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Well, do you need some help with that? No. Up the stairs? You're interviewed, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, that's cool.
I have seen her at other events, and I've never introduced myself.
Yeah, CCI, Iowa Citizen for Community Improvement.
I got 34 cards signed at the county convention up in Cerro Gordo. What is that for?
Oh, it says Cannabis is Medicine. It's a
It's like
sticker.
a little handmade card?
Well, no, it's just a sticker that's spin wrapped in a little plastic to, so you take this out of here and you can stick it somewhere. It says Cannabis is Medicine. So I'm gonna...
So your last name is Strain?
Strain, yeah.
Interesting name, I've never heard that.
Well, there are a few other strains in the city. I'm only related to a few of them.
I live in Mason City, way up north.
Yeah, I went there once many years ago. I was with a few other people. We had a booth at the Mason City Fair, the county fair.
Yeah.
So, but that was many years ago.
What did you have a booth for?
I was with some blind people. So, this was way back in like a 90, 89, like 80, no, it may 88. 88 or 89. Something like that.
Well, it was nice to meet you.
Yep.
No, you're totally fine.
one up here. Others are doing interviews, so. I see a cutie. I see a cutie. You're so cute. Yes, you are. Where did you get that cuteness from? Where did you get that cuteness from?
From his mom, of course.
I'm gonna get your nose.
Nice to meet you. No, after that. Yeah, no, that's fine. So I give a copy. Like what?
I mean, there were supporters who were there and spoke in support of it. But a lot of this probably from our work session a couple of weeks ago.
Go over there.
I have not seen Mayor Frank County here, he is actually a brother of the representative county.
But I can't just withdraw it. I send you a certified letter. Or you can just send me an email saying, yeah, feel free to withdraw it. If you be comfortable, you send me an email. Or a text, you can text this. Like the second 5 days, because we had first, you and I fighting for that last day is not.
It's a busy day here today.
It is busy. Only if you're comfortable. I can't just, it's still a live round. You want to get this back? Maybe you want me to do it? Take a trip? Yeah. Or that, just think a little bit how we, we got to where we are. We're like,
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, good. Live streaming. I was in there earlier for.
Were you?
Yeah, there's stuff going on in there, so I was in there for a while. Now I come out here and do this.
So now are you with a station?
Nope. I'm totally independent.
You are?
I work only for my viewers.
Really? Do you have a site? Like on
I have a Ustream channel page. I have YouTube channel. I put my videos up on YouTube when I get home, so I can get up my computer and tell Ustream to put my videos up on my YouTube channel. Then I post my pictures up on my Facebook page. Oh, there's some cuteness.
I saw you at the rally in May.
Yeah.
And I hope to see you at the next one in May.
Yep.
Thank you for recording.
Yep. I will be here.
Will it be on YouTube?
Yeah. When I get home, I'll have Ustream put my videos up on my YouTube channel. Because I was just my name is as it here's Kaylin Strain. That's how it is on YouTube.
Kaylin Strain. Okay.
Yeah.
Kaylin Strain.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you put the middle name Lee in it on Facebook, then that's how you get to me on Facebook.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, other people.
You got a cutie. Yes, you're a cutie. Are you a happy pup? Are you a happy pup? Probably fascinated by that trailer. Yeah, the Prism solar cars over there. Yeah. We're getting ready to. There's environmental lobby day today, so that's why he was out here. That dog leads to another possibility of medical cannabis, and it may not have been mentioned, but I know someone who used the smoke that she breathed out when she would smoke a joint to treat the cherry eye of one of her dogs. She would take a drag off of her joint, then she would blow the smoke right at the dog's eye, and she would do that several times a day. And the vet examined the dog and said, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, because the condition of the dog's eye improved, and he got some of his sight restored as a result of that. So if just blowing out the smoke from it could do that for a dog's eye, cherry eye, then given in another form, it could have done even more. And here's another. This is a service dog. Very beautiful dog. Oh, you sniffing my tripod, huh? Your dog was sniffing my tripod. Very beautiful dog.
I'm beautiful. I'm not very smart, but I'm smart.
Oh, you're smart. Come on, don't sell yourself short, pup. Don't sell yourself short.
Or what you can do is the most
I didn't give up.
I'll let you smell the cat scent. Yeah, I'm owned by a cat. Speaking of dogs, I know a dog who was treated with the smoke from. The owner, what she did was she would smoke a joint, she would blow the smoke right at the dog's cherry eye. And doing that several times a day, it improved the condition, and the vet said, keep doing whatever you're doing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if the dog gets cherry eye, so if just blowing out the smoke from a joint would do that, then the possibility of taking it internally could have done even more to improve the dog. You are a beautiful dog. Yes, you are. You are a beautiful dog. Look at that shine on that coat. Yep. I knew a dog who was treated with marijuana for cherry eye. Yeah, I was telling her about it. What she did was she would smoke a joint, blow the smoke right at the dog's affected eye several times a day, and then that improved the condition of the eye, and the dog eventually regained some of its vision. Yeah, so the eye sunk back into the socket I was supposed to. It's no longer red, no longer swollen. Yeah, and so imagine if the dog would have taken it internally in a pill or an oil form, what the effect could have been. So if something, if veterinarians could,
there's so many uses.
Yeah, for cherry eye. This is for cherry eye. So yeah. So imagine that. Pick it up. So drop one of these.
I would have died here. He would have been in a wheelchair. Combustion. And when I stand up and say that I can use my property, I'm looking at color just some city wants to get stoned. I don't want to get stoned. I want to it's hard enough. It's near impossible.
Especially when you see, I mean, look, I don't deal with any of the major issues with a lot of these people. I deal with the early onset arthritis. And I used to be a tennis champion. I I couldn't walk for a few years.
Do you use the oil?
I use CBD, and I play tennis again. So I mean, it's amazing
Yeah,
what
I
it
used
does.
to.
It's incredible. You know, it's not just that. You know, when I went to the dermatologist, they said I'd have to take sulfasalazine or methotrexate. Both are autoimmune. They're all immune suppressants. They're monsters. And one of the side effects from methotrexate, they said you might have deformities in your children. And they said, well, it's might because we don't know if it goes to the male or the female. So you could be okay since it's 50% chance. I said, hell no, I'm not doing that. And it just so happened a few months later we found out we were pregnant completely on. We weren't planning it or anything. So my wife didn't let me take the pills before that. She's like, no, you're not taking the pills. You got to find something else. Let's try a bunch of different things. And we eventually came to CBD. And that's what
I've been on it for a while, and I used to have unexplained pain in my feet and legs, and arthritis was so bad I couldn't hold a coffee cup in the morning.
Well, you used to barely go out of your house.
Now
I can move now.
I can feel the arthritis in there, but there's no pain, there's no inflammation.
No inflammation.
I don't take Oxycontin and that stuff anymore.
I mean, I still have issues. I'm rubbing because I don't have cartilage in between my toes and a couple of my toes anymore. So it's bone on bone, but the inflammation's gone. Like it's not inflamed, so I can walk on it.
I had a heel split. It didn't do much for the heel split. I had fire, so they put me in prednisone. That took care of the heel split. But I couldn't be on the CBD and the prednisone at the same time because it was like they were fighting each other.
Yeah, I was really much trying to start doing the CBD. It's very beneficial. A 7 is a good dose. CBD can help. CBD will relax a lot of the muscle around your body. That's what really helps. It's almost like a muscle relax. How you doing?
That's Senator Joe Holcomb.
Where are you from?
So he just grabbed a conversation with him before he'll go back inside the Capitol.
CBD to a number of occasions. I didn't read it. Can I get your information? Yeah. But we're doing it on a small scale. We're working with a number of families here. Would you be willing to help me? Yeah, I mean, if you wanted some of the capsules of the world, we have them, so we're absolutely willing to help. Yeah, she's right. I can't stand up very well. I can't type with one hand very well. One of the big complications for me is I'm permanently disabled. I will never work consistently again. And so financially, life is really hard when you live on disability. That's why we really need. And then they don't do. Then you can get support, and you can get programs in place to help people who are low income and disabled. Right now, we don't have that, unfortunately. I mean, that's one of my biggest motivations for doing this is because I can only be a distributor at this point in time, and I depend on the prices of the manufacturers. And I'm the hemp, the oil. I get it all done. I can't even process the hemp because it's illegal. And so, yeah, so I have to buy my oil from California or from a hemp farm in Colorado, and they're charging exorbitant prices because they can, because they've made the investment. So what are so capsules are straight. Yes. Okay. So the capsules are 9 cents a milligram, or 8 cents a milligram, and they come in 10 milligrams or 25 milligram 30 count bottles. So each capsule either has. So what's a bottle go for? Bottle is either 50 to 90, depending on if you get 10 milligrams or 25 milligrams, 30 kilograms. The oil, the straight extract oil, is about 7 cents or 8 cents a milligram. There's $220 for a 10 gram syringe, and there's 2,500 milligrams of CBD. Yeah, so that's what we do. If you just give me a call. Thank you so much. Absolutely, man. My pleasure.
Would you like to hear something interesting?
Absolutely.
I know someone who treated their dog with cherry eye with smoke. You know, she would blow the smoke from a joint right at the dog's eye.
You know, there's a huge market for pet cannabis products. There's a company in Colorado doing CBD. Yeah, CBD. Dixie does that too. That's exactly what Dixie
but imagine what.
Actually, no trip. Dixie, yeah.
So imagine the effect of taking it in a concentrated form. What more of an effect that would have done for the dog's health.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just blowing the smoke from the joint that was,
I give CBD to my dog.
He's old. He's arthritic. I know
Yep.
he has a lot of pain, so I give him
Yep.
about 10 milligrams.
And if your dog gets cherry eye,
My mom's on it. My dad's on it. Now they both have arthritic problems. I have half my family on it.
yeah. So if your dog gets cherry eye,
Thank you.
there you go. It'll take care of the cherry.
Appreciate it.
You're so cute. You're so cute. Yes, you are. I'm gonna get them toys. I'm gonna get them toys. Can I have them toys? Can I have them toys? Where did you get that cuteness from? Where did you get that cuteness from? Did you have fun today? Did you have fun today? Or are you just starting? Yeah, I bet you had a little fun today, didn't you? He is a cutie. You're welcome. I think that is going to do it for me. Looks like everybody pretty much gone. There are a few people still hanging out here having conversations, but I think everybody else is going to be heading out pretty soon, or they've gone inside to talk to the legislators about trying to get the cannabis law completed so it's a little more effective. But next up, so I'm actually going to go home in a little bit. So there is another event that I will be going to at 5 o'clock Central, and that will be a Progress Iowa event. That's at 5 o'clock Central, so I got a little time before that starts. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for now, and then 5 o'clock Central I'll be back up for a Progress Iowa fundraiser. They've been in existence 4 years. So I'll go home, put some my earlier videos up on YouTube and upload my pictures, and then I'll go back to the air at 5 o'clock. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the stream.